Let's talk a little bit about the registry. And before we do that, let's take a look at some files. And I've gone into my Windows here, and I've gone to my C drive, and this is true no matter what operating system you're on. And we'll go to Windows. And from here, I'm going to do searches on INI. I'm going to do an asterisk.ini. That's up in the upper right-hand corner. And the asterisk is a wildcard. So it searches for anything that ends with .ini. Now specifically, here's one, WinINI. Back in the old days, back in the first days of Windows, they had INI files to keep track of all the different settings of every application that ran on your computer. Some applications would have more than one INI. For example, if I scroll down here, here's a state.ini, perfcounters.ini, ASP.NET state.ini. Let me right click on this and I'll choose open. Maybe edit. And then it has sections. Here's the info sections. Within the info sections we have driver name, and then this spells out a specific setting for driver name, whatever that means. For our languages, it's all different kinds of things. I couldn't tell you what all this is. It's interesting. Okay, I don't see anything really too interesting. Up here at the very top, we had WinINI. I'm going to right click on that and choose edit. WinINI used to be an important file to contain settings. And you see now here they say for 16-bit app support. So they're leaving there just for a few applications. And because the newest operating system is 64-bit, so we've gone beyond that a little bit. That's probably the 3.0, 3.1 days. And again, here's our sections, fonts. There's nothing under fonts. Extensions, there's nothing under extensions. Not until I get down to mail here that I have a setting called Mappy, and I set it equal to 1. Have no clue what that does. You're going to find that even your systems engineer does not know every setting that's in these files. Okay, now we're specifically going to look at regedit. So down here in the search, I'm going to type regedit. And this is the registry editor. And I'll go ahead and click yes here. Now you want to be very careful with this application. This is where all the settings, and mine didn't come up, but it's right there. This is where all the settings are for your computer. So this is the big database of everything you'd ever wanted to be able to control on your computer. For example, if I go to Notepad, come down here and type Notepad. I can choose format here, and I can choose font. And see, it's currently set to Gonzalez. I could change it to Cooper. And then click OK. And now, this is Cooper font. I'm going to change it back eventually, but let me exit out of that. Now, if I come over here, and I'm not sure if I have to refresh this, I may have to exit out. Let me go ahead and close that, and go back in registry edit. And I'll click yes there. And now if I do a search here, I do a find, and let me type in Cooper. Now you see under Notepad here, and this is under the Microsoft section. And if I keep scrolling up, software, and then under current user, it says face name, and it says Cooper Black. If I come over here and double click that, you see it pops up with that setting. So if I change this to something else, let me type in haze black. Where's my delete? Delete. There it is. And I click OK. If I go on Notepad, hopefully it doesn't crash. Now that may be just one of the places where this is set at. So this still might be Cooper. I don't know. Now see, it's gone. And if I go to Format Font, let's see what it says. Okay, it doesn't say anything because David's not a valid font. Let me set it back to what it was. It was Consolas again, or Consolas, or however you say that. Okay. So any setting that you have on any of your applications, anywhere in your Windows, it's stored in here. So again, if you screw this up, this is the main database of your system. So be careful. You don't want to come up here and just start deleting a bunch of these. A lot of times they tell you, if you're going to make any changes, to do backups on these. Now, you can control this programmatically or through this interface. Like if I come down here, we go to Office and we go back to Notepad. It automatically set it back to Consolas. So if I have this selected here, if I right click on it and choose modify binary data, you probably want to choose modify if you're doing that. That's the same as double clicking on it. If over here, if I right click on this, then you see different options here. You can do a new, where you choose a new value to put in here. Now you can't just willy-nilly put any value here. It has to be a valid one for that program. But even more than that, see how there's an export here? So if I choose export on that, and I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'll say testing.reg and click save. Now currently my Notepad is set to Consolas. If I bring up my testing.reg, you don't want to double click it. Double clicking it runs it. But I'm going to right click it and choose edit. You see all the settings we had. It's always a good idea if you're going to make changes to go and do an export first before you start messing things up. Now, if I get rid of some of these, there's only one I want to change is the font. And there it is. So get rid of those. And then I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to change that to Wayne's World font. I don't have that font, but just to demonstrate it. Okay. Now if I save that, and I'll minimize that. Now if I double click this, that's running it. Then say yes, that'll load it into the registry. And it says adding can intentionally change, cause components stop working. Are you sure you want to continue? And I click yes. Okay, it has been successfully added to the registry. Okay, so back to my registry. I'm kind of surprised it does it on the fly and updates it. But you see right here, it changed it to Wayne's World, which obviously is not a valid font. You know, I'm still in the Word here, or Word Notepad. Let me close that and go back into it. And if I go to Format, Font, see there's nothing there. So you can put whatever you want in there, but it's still got to be a valid value. Okay, so let me change it to something that is valid. If I bring that up, right click on it and choose edit. Instead of Wayne's World, let me say Consolas. I think that was a valid one, if I spell it right. Okay, save that. And then come over here and double click on that. Click yes. Yes, I want to load it. Now it leaves all those other settings alone. The only thing it ever changes is the one that I got in the file. And you see it's got Gonzalez there. Now if I go bring up Notepad again. Now if I choose Format, Font, you see we got Gonzalez chose. Now other settings on there, and I'm not comfortable with, Notepad and what all these settings mean and so forth. But if you can change these other settings, then it would change different aspects of your Notepad. Window position. I'm guessing like when you exit out. Oops. See how my Notepad is right here on the screen? Now if I close that, and then if I go back in Notepad, it remembers where my setting was. Now if I move this a little bit closer to the upper left hand corner and close it, and now if I do Notepad, see, it remembers it. How it remembers that is it stores settings off here in the registry. And I'm not sure if I actually updated those. I'm guessing this right here, 30 and 38. Now if I double click this and change it to decimal, instead of 30, let me change that to 300. And on this one, let me double click that, and for the window position, let me change that to 300. Oops, better choose decimal though. And then 300. Now if I bring up Notepad, you see it's no longer up in the upper left hand corner, it's down here. If for some reason you had Notepad, and I've done this in the past, not so much with newer operating systems, but I suppose it's possible, but you take it clear over here and you somehow lose it and you can't move it back. We know in some applications that you can choose the upper left hand corner here and choose move, and then you can move it to wherever you want. Let me try it again. There we go. You move it wherever you want, but if you can't put your mouse down there to grab it, you can't move it. Well, that'd be one way to easily get the Notepad back. Okay, I'm just doing the actual live manipulation just so you can see what in the world settings mean anyway for Notepad. Now let's just generally talk about, well, why is this important for security? Well, again, this is where everything is stored at. So if I'm wanting to infect your computer, one method, and there's lots of different methods, but one method is for me to manipulate your registry in some form. And for example, and these are older viruses that do this. But we have the root, a user, local machine, users, and current configuration. We're not going to go into a huge amount of depth on this. This is more if you're going to become a Microsoft systems engineer of some sort. But if I expand current user, then there's software, expand software. Yours won't be expanded, but then you'll see a Microsoft. It's a publisher. And if I expand that, then if you scroll down, you'll see a Windows, and expand that. Current version, expand that. And then you'll see a run option. What this is every time your computer comes up, it runs this, runs whatever's underneath this setting. So if I'm a virus and I'm able to put a entry into your registry, push it out to everybody in your company or so forth, so it runs my program when it first starts up, then I can maybe control different aspects about your computer. Now I notice on mine I have OneDrive running, and if I don't want it to run, which Eventually I'll probably remove it because I'm not actually using OneDrive yet on this. Then I would just come here and press delete. Now before you do that, you want to make sure you back it up. And if I right click on it here, you could go in your modify or double click. And you can write these settings down. Or remember, if you come over here to the main little main entry, I think of them as folders, but if you right click on that, you can choose export. And that's a good way to back it up. If you're having trouble with your computer, then come here and see if you got too many items running. Like if it takes 5 minutes before it start up in the morning. Every time in an application when you install it and ask, do you want to automatically check for updates, it'll put an entry out here. So you have to be careful on that. Now see run once, that's when you got a program that you're installing, and then it puts an entry out here and it says click this button to restart, and then when it restarts it'll come here and it'll just run this one time. Now mine's kind of boring here. I haven't installed a lot of software yet. This is my new computer. You'll probably have a lot more on yours, assuming you've installed software. But that was under the Windows. Another place to look is, you see the Windows NT here? And I'll expand that. Then I'll expand current version. And you see we got Windows here, but there's nothing underneath it. But you look under Windows and Windows NT to see what's under your run folders. Now, if you don't remember that, again, you can come up here to the current user. I highlight that, and you can do an edit, find, and then you can click run. Now, by doing this, though, you're going to find you may have a lot of different places that it'll stop along the way. Find next, F3. Comes here. I have no clue what that is. And F3 again. F3, F3. You know, they give you a description here what these different items mean. Oftentimes, and I'm obviously not going to find it very fast that way, it's better to go directly to it. And see, I have Netflix. I don't remember if I put Netflix on here or not, but I guess it's got it there by default. Nothing there. But when it runs something, when you got network virus checking software of some sort, or if you have just personal computer virus checking software, then what it'll do is it'll go through and look for items like that in your registry for you. Now it specifically is looking to see if what it's running is in the correct location, and perhaps if it's the right size. Because if it's supposed to be running something out of your Windows system folder and it's running from somewhere else, that's a question mark. Why is it running that one? Why isn't it running the standard one that's consistent on everybody's Windows? Now the point on this video is just to introduce you to the registry. If you want to add entry to play, then you can. Like if we go back to Notepad, let's see if I can remember where that's at. If I do search, let's see. I got software highlighted. Do an edit, find Notepad, and let's try it again. F3, web browser. Well, let me see if I can actually find it. Okay, it's probably under Microsoft. Oh, it was just under Notepad. I was having trouble finding it earlier. I was looking for an accessories or apps option here, and there wasn't one. Okay, so we said we got a new entry there for Consolis we put in. Let's come over here. I'll right click on this, choose edit, and I'm going to copy this and come down here and paste it. And just not use this new keyboard. It's smaller. It's software. And let's say I created a new program. I'll call it Math Heals. There we go. Like this. And then let me use my mouse. I might have better luck than those arrow keys. And this is going to be whether I save it or not. Now, I may not be able to get this right, so let me just put a string here of yes. There we go. And almost left the software off. There we go. Let's try that again. Software. And Math Heal, save yes. Okay, let me save that. And come over here and double click that and click yes. And yes, I want to load it in. Okay, I've been successfully. Okay, so let me go back to Registry. Notice what I have here. I have Math Heals. And specifically underneath that, I have save and then yes. If you're going into computer science and you're looking at writing programs, you'll probably want to use Registry to save off some settings for your program. So again, this is an introduction not only from a security standpoint, but if you're going to computer science, so you understand a little bit more about this. Obviously, I don't want Math Heals in my registry, so let me go ahead and delete that. And yeah, I want to permanently delete. See, this is where if you got the wrong thing highlighted, this would be bad. If I had Microsoft deleted or highlighted and I press delete, that probably means I'm reinstalling my system software. So be careful what you're doing in here. That was an introduction to the registry.